I'm Jordan Hatfield. This is Faster Film Critic. Today on the show, we talk Captain America Brave New World with Kolter and Chase Fugel. Brave New World is a 2025 superhero film directed by Julius Ona, starring Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, and Danny Ramirez. I sure hope this movie is indeed brave and new because the recycled stories of the MCU are starting to stink like dead fish. Get in, we're going cinephiling. Guys, how you doing today?
I'm great.
Yeah, what a great movie.
Yeah, it's so good.
Do you guys realize this is the 35th film in the MCU?
Yeah, and about 7 too many, probably.
There's a lot of films in this universe, and I'm not going to lie, it feels like it's just plug and play.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been like that for a while.
It's Iron Man, and you remove Iron Man and put in Captain America, and you remove Captain America and put in the Incredible Hulk, and you move the Incredible Hulk and you put in Black Widow, and you move Black Widow and you put in Black Panther. I mean, it's just like the same stories over and over. Am I wrong on this?
No, you're not. It's always been fairly formulaic, but
I'm not an MCU guy. I'm not a superhero guy. I'm not a big fan of these movies.
Okay.
In fact, you wouldn't be wrong to call me a hater. Iron Man came out in 2008, and I was a big fan. I thought Iron Man was great.
It was.
The Incredible Hulk also came out in 2008. It was decent.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, okay.
Yeah.
There were some cool parts in Iron Man 2.
Sure.
Thor, it was decent.
Yeah.
Captain America, the First Avenger, it was decent. The Avengers, wasn't a big fan. Then we hit Iron Man 3 in 2013, and I was like, enough. I'm done. And I checked out. I boycotted the MCU after Iron Man 3.
Oh, my God.
And I've only caught a handful of superhero movies since then.
Wow.
Like, I just haven't had the interest. Not interested, hard pass.
Yeah.
I've gone back in preparation for this, and I watched all the Captain Americas, including The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
What'd you think of those?
Yeah. Heading into this movie, I was up to speed.
And moving on.
I was up to speed. I'm just not a fan, but I recognize there are people who love the MCU. And so in this episode, I'm going to try not to be super negative. I'm really going to try to focus on the film and some of the positives that the film has to offer. Now, I can't promise that I'm going to be successful, but that's my goal.
That's fair.
And my question for you, Kolter, is you grew up in the comic books, right?
Yeah. That's fair. Not like super, like waist deep, but enough.
And you've said on this podcast that there was a time in your life where you were really into superhero movies.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's accurate, man.
Tell me, what is it about the superhero movies that you loved, at least at one point in your life?
I can tell you what it was before the last 7 or 8 movies. You know, it's not easy to depict a world in which superhero exists realistically. You have to approach it with some intelligence. You've got to do it with, and most of these cases with good casting. You got Robert Downey Jr. kind of came out of nowhere to depict Iron Man, and comic book fans are weird. We're a nerdy bunch, man. We want to see kind of what we know, what we're familiar with, depicted accurately with not too many kind of liberties taken on character archetypes, even the appearance of their costumes, whatever you want to call it. One, I think you have to do it with broad appeal. It's got to be something that kids can enjoy because kids inherently love comic book stuff. It's got to be something the adults can enjoy because they're the ones taking their kids to it. And it can't be insultingly stupid and dumb. It has to be entertaining. You have to have some suspension of disbelief. You've got to have some humor. You've got to have some well choreographed action, and you have to have some stakes. And for the most part, Jon Favreau, the Russo brothers, the guys who even Joss Whedon, who originally did the first couple of Avengers movies. These are good writers. They're good filmmakers. They're good storytellers. And that's what worked about the first few phases of this. It spurned some offshoots and things like Deadpool and Logan, which was much more serious and dark and much more adult. But like any good trend or fad in Hollywood, man, like they come and go. There's your science fiction eras. There's like your political dramas. There's your action of the 80s. There's fantasy. These things kind of come and go. And this is just overstayed its welcome for way too long. I mean, the unique thing about Marvel is that they were able to tell individual stories focused on individual characters successfully and have them culminate into this like whole big team up that was done pretty gracefully. It's tough to have a movie with 10, 12 characters that you have to balance and give each one some kind of character arc or plot something important to the plot that's happening. So it was really unique that they were able to kind of develop that formula that culminated in these huge kind of, overstuffed with characters movies that were really kind of ended up being pretty epic. And so hats off to that. That's not an easy thing to do. That's a really difficult and unique brand to build. But bro, it's over. Like, stop. No more. Please. Good God. Move on to something else.
Can you tell me, at what point did superhero movies become lame, in your opinion? Like, what was the last good superhero movie?
I don't know. Chase, you want to jump in on this?
Oh, I probably fall somewhere in the middle of you two.
Okay.
Marvel definitely didn't lose me at the third Iron Man. But
Right, same.
somewhere after that, yeah, it lost me. I don't know exactly where it was. I could probably pinpoint if I pulled them all up, but
Yeah.
I mean, at the time when the Spider-Man movies came out, I thought those were fun. Those were great. I loved those. Going back and watching them now, I'm not sure that they would hold up the same way that they did when I was 12 years old.
Sure.
To me, the MCU feels like a bunch of grown men in Halloween costumes acting out their fantasies of 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
I don't see a lot of cinematic value. I think the MCU provides some really cool special effects
Yeah.
and wall-to-wall action.
Sure.
And so it's easy for someone to just sit down and turn off their brain and
Yeah.
let fast-moving, colorful characters move around on screen and beat each other up. But to me, that's all this is. The writing in these films is atrocious. It's goofy in so many ways. It's silly. For example, in Captain America Civil War, there's this huge battle between all the superheroes, all these friends.
Mm-hmm.
These are supposed to be some of the strongest and brightest minds on Earth. And forget having a conversation. Let's just beat each other up.
Right.
And by the way, they do it at an international airport that just happens to be vacant. Like there's nobody around. Like, what? You know what I mean? And the damage these guys are causing. I mean, millions and millions of dollars in their little immature hissy fits over something silly. Like, it's just silly. It's all just silly to me.
Sure.
Again, I'm not trying to offend. I mean, if you're a teenager, these movies are made for you. If you're into LARPing. If you're a LARPist, if you're a teenager or a LARPist, these films are for you. But I just don't understand how they can make millions and millions and millions of dollars movie after movie after movie.
Yeah.
Wow, I told you guys I wasn't going to be negative. I am greatly failing at this goal. Let's back up. I'm going to try even harder. Brave New World. Chase, what were your thoughts?
I wasn't expecting anything new. I had seen a few of the new Marvel stuff, like The Marvels, which was absolutely terrible.
Yes.
That's by far the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen. And this was better than that, fortunately, but still bad. The bits of dialogue that are just terrible. They feel so robotic, almost AI written.
Yep. Yes.
I'm really disappointed in the special effects.
It's a not so well kept secret at this point that the teams that do the computer art and the CGI for this stuff are very much overburdened and they're rushed. And we talked about this movie before. This movie was essentially, from what I understand, pretty much entirely reshot from its first take. It screened horribly. Geez, I can't imagine why. They panicked. They spent a ton more money on reshoots. And this is the version that we got, which, man, how much worse could that first one have been? Yeah. It's unnecessary. It's super thin on story. It's trying to be the Winter Soldier so hard, and it just stinks. There's a couple of interesting things that happen in this movie. A couple of interesting characters. Okay, one interesting character. Carl Lumbly, who plays Isaiah Bradley, by far the most interesting character. He's the only person in that movie I felt something for. I would have much rather seen a movie about that guy's story than anybody else in this movie. Sam Wilson is we don't know Sam Wilson. He was always a side character in the movies before that, and he was perfectly fine as that. He was, he's a great supporting character. He's charming. He's positive. He has integrity. He's a great, co-star to Chris Evans's Steve Rogers. I just don't buy him in this role. And the writing, Chase, dude, it's so dumb. And they bring in that guy. Yeah, nice to see Tim Blake Nelson again as the kind of wad of boogery snot you cough up during a sinus infection. But does anyone even remember that character from 2008?
He was Broccoli Man.
Yeah,
I liked Broccoli Man.
Who remembers that guy from The Incredible Hulk? That was 2008. Like, who cares, man? It's just this 12-year-old girl throwing around grown men. So convincing.
Oh my gosh,
dude,
I'm so glad you said that.
Who the hell is this girl? Like, is she related to Kevin Feige? Is there, why is she in this movie?
Yeah.
Dude, and I'm surprised like Harrison Ford didn't phone this in. He actually seemed like I'll give him some credit for actually showing up for this movie and going through the motions, but
yeah,
they need to stop. This is just bad.
I agree, 100%.
A lot of MCU fans are upset with Brave New World. It's not getting great reviews, and people are really dogging it. I got to be honest with you guys. I watched Brave New World, and I didn't think it was worse than pretty much any other Marvel movie I've seen in the last, since Iron Man 3. I mean,
That's
it just
crazy.
feels like exactly the same.
That is outrageous.
Outrageous. Chase, are you saying that other MCU movies are that much better than Brave New World? Because I see a lot of the same weaknesses. So for me to say that Brave New World isn't that much worse than other MCU movies, Chase, where am I wrong?
I think, like I said, I think it's been a steady decline for the past several years. So every aspect, the writing, the special effects, the cinematography, the care that the actors are putting into the roles. I've seen a steady decline from all of it. And this is just,
I mean, I don't think the special effects in Brave New World were terrible. I don't think they were fantastic, but they weren't terrible. Anthony Mackie showed up and gave it his all. I mean, now he's no Chris Evans, and I don't like him in the part of Captain America. I don't think he can pull that off, but he showed up and he gave it his all. Harrison Ford was there. He gave it his best shot. I just don't see this film being any worse than Ant-Man and the Wasp, or The Marvels, or Thor Dark World, or Captain Marvel, or Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I think you'll find plenty of people that agree. Maybe some that don't. There was a direction back then. They had a plan. They kind of knew where all of these stories were going to kind of go and culminate into. I don't think the writing was as bad. At least there were folks like Robert Downey Jr. who can elevate like a average script into something a little bit better.
Yeah.
Chris Evans, like I believe Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh is like ex-Black widows that can kick ass. Like when I believe it, I see it. It's part of it's due to the writing, part of it's due to their physicality. I don't believe it when I see a 9-year-old throwing around 300-pound mercenaries. It's just dumb. It's so stupid. And I think, I don't know, Jordan, if you had, because you said you've only kind of watched them spottily here and there, right? You didn't watch like the whole saga and all that crap.
I didn't watch the whole saga. I've gone back, and there's a lot I've seen. I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I've seen some of the Avengers movies.
Okay.
I've seen Thor 1, 2, and 3. I've seen a lot of them.
Okay.
But after Iron Man 3, I did check out mentally. My expectations from that point on have been very, very low.
Okay. Hey, okay, so that begs the question. Out of all the movies that you've seen, what would you consider to be one of the better of their products?
Of the MCU universe or of Captain America?
MCU universe.
I thought Iron Man was great. I haven't seen Iron Man in a really long time, but I remember walking out of Iron Man and being like, that was really cool.
What about past Iron Man 3?
Past Iron Man 3, nothing. I don't know.
Nothing.
They're all the same to me. That's the problem. Is I can't say one was good and one was bad.
Yeah.
They're all exactly the same. It feels like the exact same stories. We just plug and play with different characters. The writing in all of them is bad. The problems I have in one film are the problems I have in all of the films. Again, I liked Iron Man. I thought Iron Man 2 was okay. I thought Thor was okay. I thought the Avengers was okay. But then it was just more and more of the same. And it was just plug and play. We're changing out the colors of capes is all we're doing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So I can't even rank these. I can't even say this one's better than that one. I look at them and it's like they're all the same movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing interesting. There is nothing cinematic. There is nothing impressive. It's just cartoon violence with a bunch of grown-ups, in Halloween costumes. Like, that's just what it is to me. And I don't see anything there, and I don't understand what people see. Like, what is my problem?
The Spider-Mans are a high schooler in a Halloween costume. Does that not change it for you?
Some kids hit puberty later than others.
No, dude, it's nothing wrong with you at all. It's just it's personal taste, man. Like it just doesn't do it for you.
It doesn't do it for me. And here's another problem I have. Like you've got Chris Evans in Captain America. And by the way, Captain America, the First Avenger, I think is the best Captain America. I'm not saying I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's the best out of all the Captain America stuff.
Okay.
But you've got Chris Evans, and he takes this super soldier serum, and he becomes Captain America.
Right.
But now we've got Anthony Mackie, who's playing Sam Wilson, who never took the super soldier serum. He's a human, and yet he is capable of doing all the same things that Captain America is. Now, you may argue, well, Steve Rogers was slightly better than Sam Wilson in the role of Captain America. And I'm saying, I mean, we're splitting hairs here. And this is a human being. And he puts on a backpack with wings, and all of a sudden, like, it just diminishes the power of A, Steve Rogers, B, the super soldier serum, C, reality. Like, it just, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And then we get all these villains. By the way, we've got the Incredible Hulk, this monster, dude. Dude, he's like 13 feet, 8 inches.
Yeah.
He weighs like 3 tons. And yet Sam Wilson takes a punch from this Red Hulk, and it's no more powerful than the punches he was taking from the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many silly. And then you've got all these. You know what? You guys tricked me. You got me being negative again.
Oh, it's more fun.
Okay, positivity. Here we go. My favorite part of Brave New World was seeing Harrison Ford on Air Force One again.
Sure.
And back to my true thoughts. Here's another thing that was really lame. Giancarlo Esposito was greatly underused in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, I know his character was an afterthought. He wasn't written into the original script. He came in during reshoots, and they edited him as if he was.
They did.
Yeah. Okay, enough negativity. I want you to tell me where I'm wrong. Why is it that people love the MCU so much?
Like I said, I can tell you, I think we can tell you why they used to. I don't think most people are anymore, aside from your, 6 and 7 year olds that we sat behind a kid in the theater who had a blast. That's great. Good for him. Happy he had a great time. But my brother and I were just cracking jokes the whole time. Yeah, my brother busted out laughing when Sabra or Ruth or whatever the hell her name is, the 12-year-old Secret Service / ex-soldier, she's like, I'm in charge of security. He literally burst out laughing.
Yeah, she was pretty silly. But I can tell you, in my theater, I don't recall seeing any 7-year-olds. I mean, it was half full with mostly adult men.
Dude, I don't know, man. It's they don't know what they're doing anymore. I would argue that due to the success of the MCU before Infinity War and all that stuff, that I think it had a broad appeal for whatever reason. If you're a dork like me and you like it, if you're just an easygoing movie watcher, you like it. But yeah, for the critical eye, for people who want a little bit more depth in their stories than just, whoa, look at my power, whoa, explosion, whoa. Like, it's take it or leave it for some people. And I think Jay said it best. They've been on a steady decline since the culmination of that event. And movie studios are just, man, they just want those stacks. And it's too hard to just either recreate the brand, let it sit in a wine cellar somewhere and let people clamor for it again. But don't just keep cranking out trashy crap like this, because all it does is dilute everything else and people lose interest. They already are. I have. Chase has. You didn't have much to begin with, Jordan. So yeah.
I mean, I liked Iron Man. I really did. I'm glad that Iron Man exists. I'm glad the Incredible Hulk exists. I'm glad that Captain America, the First Avenger, exists.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Spider-Man exists. I mean, I think there's a place for those movies. My problem isn't Iron Man. It's Iron Man 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
And we've gotten to a point where, I mean, the first Iron Man you can throw on, and somebody who doesn't know anything about Marvel is going to enjoy it. They don't know anything about the Marvel universe. And that's the same way with the original Spider-Mans too. And you don't need all this background knowledge from the 2008 Hulk movie to be able to enjoy Captain America: Brave New World.
Right.
Which makes it so much harder for somebody who hasn't seen every single movie, even the terrible ones in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, or the series for that matter. I mean, Jordan, I don't know what you got out of watching the series, but it was just, it's infused with too much political crap. You know, they're always trying to insert the message into this. And I've always thought, dude, people who are racist pieces of shit or prejudiced people, they're not going to be changed by watching a TV show that says, don't be a racist, don't be a nut, don't be this. It's like, yeah, we know. I don't watch TV or movies to be exposed to this crap. I watch TV movies because I want to get away from the woes of the world and the things that plague humankind. I don't need my story injected with all. You're going to do it, at least do it with intelligence. Do it with grace. You know, do it eloquently. Don't make it
so heavy-handed.
Yes.
It feels like a lecture sometimes. It's like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. Yes.
I wish that the main black character in the MCU wasn't turned into this political figure.
Yes.
Just let him be. Yeah. Let him be a cool superhero.
Yeah, man. I think there's no way this movie makes money. They spent way too much money on this movie.
They spent $180 million on this movie.
That's just the reshoots. It's rumored that's just the reshoots.
Whoa.
Because they had to shoot such a huge chunk of this movie over. It didn't test well. They reshot on top of that, and then they reshot on top of that. I wasn't there. I don't know, but that's kind of what all the trades are saying right now is that the budget is far closer to 300, and that's not including the marketing for this. You push it to even $350, $400, this movie's got to break $1 billion just to break even and not make money. This movie will lose money.
Yeah.
It was the same story with the Marvels, man. They spent way too much money on it, and they ended up losing like $150 million.
That's crazy. And yet they just keep making them. But guys, I am not going to fall for your trap a third time. I've been negative this entire episode, and my goal was to stay positive. I promise from this point forward, I will be positive. That means we need to end this episode right now. Let's rate the film. Guys, tell me, where do you fall on Captain America: Brave New World?
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't as bad as Flight Risk. I'll give it half a star higher, and I'm going to sit at 1 star.
Dude, I can't give it any higher than that either. It's 1 star. I think at least Flight Risk knew how stupid it was. I'm convinced that movie knew how dumb it was.
Okay, you're a little bit more optimistic.
Maybe. I had more fun watching that than I did this. This was just one eye-rolling disappointment after the next.
I promised you guys I was going to be positive, and here we go. I wasn't disappointed with Brave New World, and I wasn't disappointed because my expectations were so low. I did not expect anything more from this movie than it gave me. I'm going to come in at 2 stars. This isn't a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but if it's targeting teenagers and LARPists, then there's something here for them to enjoy. I mean, you can sit back and turn your mind off, and it isn't completely miserable if you know what you're walking into. 2 stars, but please, if you like this film or if you love the MCU, tell me. I want to hear about it. I would love for someone to tell me how and where and why I'm wrong.
Well, it's too bad that Carl Lumbly doesn't have more starring roles in films, as he is excellent in Netflix's Fall of the House of Usher. But since we focus on movies for our recommendations, we're going with 1991's Regarding Henry. It stars Harrison Ford as a jerk-faced corporate lawyer who suffers a life-threatening injury that changes his entire persona. It's directed by Mike Nichols and co-stars Annette Bening, and it's one of Harrison Ford's more unique performances and infinitely more compelling than Captain America: Brave.
Thank you for listening to Faster Film Critic. Please join us next episode when we talk The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins. I'm hearing this horror film is violent and actually pretty funny. You can also follow us on Letterboxd, Cinetrack, and Instagram. Email us at fasterfilmcritic@gmail.com. Hit us up with questions, comments, feedback, or review requests, and please share this episode with your movie-loving friends.